somebody had a question on a brake on an ORCO 70, and I was going to show when I come down here. Now, Ma's got her warp used up, so I'm going to have to rewarp it, and I guess I can go into it more then. But basically, how the brake works, you know, the warp is round this way, and the brake is simply this post that is controlled by this. You know, you lift it up, there it's free, there it's locked, the brake is locked. Now, a union is different. A union, there's a wooden piece that goes all the way across that blocks right on these pins. So it's actually a more solid system. This works good, but the main thing you have to know when you're going to move it, when you're going to advance it, is to take the tension off first. You know, release that ratchet, loosen the string, because if it isn't loose and you pop that brake, what can happen is this can just spin free, and then you can end up with strings on the wrong side of a peg, and you tighten it up and you break a string. This isn't, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that they break them. This is pretty simple. You know, a lot of them have a gear here with cogs on it. The real old ones, they'll have, well, like this whole back beam will be just like a log with holes drilled in it, and then you run a wooden bar through it. But like I say, I'll go into this more when I'm warping it, which I'll have to do next week. It isn't bad to warp. It's like a 2 or 3 hour job to put new warp on if you don't run them empty. That's the thing, is you always leave enough warp where you can tie the ends on. If you run it completely empty, then you got to fish it all through. This works much better. You know, just you lose a little warp, but it saves you a lot of time. But I have to decide what kind of warp to put on it. Now, these are pretty solid. You know, the wooden beam here. One thing you do have to watch on some of them, if they have a brake only on one side, you know, like I said, the union goes all the way across. The ones that have a brake on one side usually have the big iron wheels here. And you have to make sure that the bolts are tight so that it doesn't flex, because if it blocks on one side and then you tighten the warp up, the other side, the whole beam can flex enough that you lose tension on that side. I know somebody one time who had a loom, and they were having trouble because their rugs, they would make a long rug, and then the rug would end up, you know, when it was laid out, the rug would have a curve to it. Well, it's because you were losing the tension on that one side. But this is a good spot for a loom. But I'm going to come and rewarp it one of these next days, and then I'll go over that again. In fact, I'll film the home warping thing. Normally when we warp, this one we use, this is the Newcomb warping rack, you know, that you put your spools on to feed them through. Now, the Union and the ORCO both have a warping rack built into the bottom. The only disadvantage in that is that you can't see if a spool runs out or if a spool breaks. You know, if it's sitting way back here, and you're warping up that direction, you can see what's going on. I should maybe warp from that rack on the bottom sometime just to show people how it's done. We'll see. Like I say, I'll warp it one of these days.